everyone, and welcome back to Moving Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. It's the podcast where we watch The Muppets Take Manhattan 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Anthony Strand.
And I'm your other host, Ryan Rowe.
Joining us today, we have a person who has appeared on this podcast many times, but it's always a thrill to have him. Guest, who are you?
I am Joe Hennis, and I am co-owner and editor-in-chief of toughpigs.com. Hello, everybody.
Joe Hennis, the co-host of The Muppets, the sitcom, the podcast.
That's right.
That's true, too.
On another podcast. You can't get rid of me.
Wow, I'm so excited.
And now I'm so trying to think in my head whether that podcast will still be running new episodes by the time this episode comes out, but I don't know.
Well, you know what? If it's not, those episodes of Muppets, the sitcom, the podcast, are still available on our other podcast stream. So if you haven't listened to that yet, then you can listen to my voice and Ryan's voice on alternate episodes.
Yeah.
Like a whole bunch of episodes.
Go do it as soon as you finish listening to this.
Yes. Or stop right now and go listen to that. I love that show, man. You guys, I love it. I was only on one of them, but I love all the ones.
Thank you.
All right. So
do you prefer Muppets the Sitcom, the podcast, to the Muppets the Sitcom?
Yes, absolutely. I would much rather hear the two of you talk about anything than watch the Muppets the Sitcom. All right. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Muppets Take Manhattan. And specifically, we are talking about minutes 27 and 28. In these minutes, Rizzo introduces his 4 new coworkers and also his 5th new coworker, Kermit, who asks Pete for a job.
Mm-hmm.
So we do start with when we left off. Rizzo was just about to open the door and introduce some additional help for himself. And this time he does it. We meet his 4 new rat. I don't even know if they're his friends. I was about to say friends, but I'm not sure that's accurate.
I guess we don't know what their actual social relationship is.
Right.
I mean, he's doing them a favor by hooking them up with a job. So they probably say that they were friends with Rizzo because it would be like a dick move to not to be like, well, he's not my friend, even though he's giving me gainful employment. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's true. So who are they in the order in which they are introduced? The first one is Ratatouille, a sailor rat, a rat wearing a Navy uniform for unknown reasons. We never hear anything about this.
No, was he in the Navy? We don't know.
And he's got a rad tattoo on his chest.
He has an anchor tattoo
where his
on
name
his chest.
comes from. Yeah,
right. But so you can have a tattoo without being in the Navy,
That's true. I mean,
no, these are 2 separate thoughts.
Right.
Also, his name comes from the fact that he is the rat tattooey.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about later. Is that all 3 of the guy rats here have pun names?
Yes.
And Yolanda, as far as I can tell, let's just talk about that now. Then, so they are rat tattooey, right? A pun on the dish ratatouille.
Yeah, which by the way, this is 23 years before the Pixar movie made the same joke. So,
right, but the peasant dish ratatouille, as the Pixar movie calls it, existed.
Yes, it's a French stew, which, as far as I know, that has nothing to do with sailors.
Right, so that's weird, which makes it even weirder that he's in the Navy.
Yes.
And then the second one is Masterson, who is a butler. He's wearing a butler's uniform.
He's very nicely dressed. He has a little tuxedo thing.
He's very polite. I appreciate that about Masterson.
But he's unemployed. Masterson is dressed like a butler, but he's not a butler because he just got a job at a diner.
He wanted to make sure to look nice for his job interview.
That's right. He might be waiting tables. So, you know, like a maitre d'.
Yes, waiting tables in his little bow tie.
True. Yeah. And Masterson is so it's Rat Masterson, right? He's named after the Old West lawman Bat Masterson.
Right.
Which, before we recorded this episode, Anthony, you and I were talking about this, and I always knew. I don't know how long I've known. Probably not when I was a kid, but I got a Rat Tattooey joke.
Probably since 2007, you've known it, right?
Probably, yeah. But it wasn't until you and I were literally talking about a couple of weeks ago that I was and then Oh man, like I just got it. I literally just got that joke.
Yeah,
right,
Bat
right.
Masterson, Rat Masterson. Yep,
Bat Masterson. And then of course Joe and I are like Joe and I love obscure DC characters of all stripes. So there was also a Bat Masterson takeoff in DC Comics named Bat Lash.
Yeah,
who was right. Like a foppish Old West lawman.
Right, that was definitely like a take on Bat Masterson, right? That character,
right? For sure. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Batman. Like you would think a DC Comics character with Bat in the name would be.
Yeah, he's unrelated. Unlike Batgirl, Batmite, Ace the Bat Hound, those guys are all connected to Batman.
But I feel like they've met at some point in a time travel story, right?
Yeah.
They definitely have.
I would not be surprised if like a Roy Thomas or a Grant Morrison decided to like tie them together in some way.
Yes.
Or to Jeff Johns, right? Like but anyways, the last one here, the last male character that we meet with a pun name is Chester, so Tattooey is a sailor, Masterson is a butler, and Chester is a sneeze boy.
He has a cold.
That's all we know about him. He sneezes and he says, "I feel terrible."
But here's the question: do you think that Chester has the plague?
Oh yeah, maybe. Maybe he
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's exactly the kind of guy that you want working in the kitchen at the restaurant where you're eating.
Right. Well, but that's the whole joke with rats working at the kitchen anyway.
Well, yes,
right? Like,
yes.
But so Chester's name, as far as I can tell, is a pun on Rochester, right? Which is a city in New York, a city in Minnesota, and the name of Eddie Anderson's character on the Jack Benny program.
Yes, as far as I can tell, that's what the joke is.
So that's Rochester. This is Ratchester, and then the final one is Yolanda, who is like she's just Smurfette here. I mean, you guys are talking about Muppets 2015. Yolanda will go on to have a lot of personality on that program. But
yeah, they really did right by Yolanda in the later episodes of that show.
Right, but like here, she's. I mean, the other three don't say much when they're introduced, but Yolanda doesn't say anything in this clip.
And not only does she not get to say anything, but she's just introduced by Rizzo saying, "What a crazy body."
Right. She's introduced just like Rizzo objectifies her. That's the only reason
that's all she gets by way of introduction.
Yeah.
I definitely I don't appreciate the fact that like, yes, Yolanda only exists to be objectified and to be like a female version of an existing male character, which is like a problem that I think a lot of all ages and kids programs have, including the Muppets, is introducing female characters that are just female versions of existing ones. But I love the joke that Rizzo says, "What a crazy body," even though all the rest look like identical pairs.
Right. She has his exact body.
That is true. Yeah.
But like, whoa. Like, did you see?
Yeah, that's true. So we should also talk about who performed all these characters, even though they don't get much to do here. They do all have performers. Tattooey is Brian Meal, who I guess we mentioned briefly on Great Muppet Caper.
Yeah, he also worked on the Dark Crystal, where we talked about him a little bit.
Oh, right, that's right. Yeah, he was one of the main Sesame Street guys at this time. He was Telly, in those days, and Pearl, one of my favorite characters. Dina's babysitter, Pearl.
Yes, he was also the first Grungetta.
Yeah, right. He was Grungetta. So he was like for a few years around this time, early 80s, one of the main Sesame Street performers. Then he more recently, he has written middle grade novels. I have some of them at my school library. I read one called Suck It Up. It was good. It's about like a kid. It's about a vampire teen fighting for like vampire representation in modern culture.
There are so many middle school novels about vampires and monsters and stuff like that.
Right. Well, this was it's from 2010, so it's like Twilight.
Post Twilight. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That doesn't sound nearly as exciting as like Forgetful Jones.
Right. But
yeah, he was Clementine to the original Forgetful Jones too. Yeah.
Oh, was he Clementine? I forget. I can't remember who was who.
Forgetful Jones was like Michael Earl Davis.
That's right.
Even
I get him confused with Michael Earl Davis. Yeah. Michael Earl Davis a rat in this movie?
No, he's not. But the next rat is Masterson, who is a 3-named performer, Bruce Edward Hall. And Bruce Edward Hall has very few credits with the Muppets. He worked on a couple of the play-along videos in the 80s.
Yeah, he was in Neat Stuff to Know and Do. The Muppet Wiki says he played a homing pigeon and a skipping stone in that video.
Yeah, so he didn't do much. He has passed away in 2003 at the age of 49, so died relatively young, which is sad. He later wrote a bunch of fiction and nonfiction books about Chinatown and Chinese immigrants in the U.S.
Yeah, it's kind of Chinese that he seems to have left puppetry behind to become a writer of these historical books.
Right. And he himself was Chinese American, which I mention only because his name is Bruce Edward Hall, which doesn't necessarily scan as being Chinese American, but he was. Yeah,
I read that I think it was his great grandfather changed the family name when he, at some point.
That's especially interesting because there's so few Muppet performers of color, especially in these days. So it's a shame that, we've been talking about this a bit recently on like the Topics forum and stuff. Just like when we're recording this is like a week or so after there was an article in the Hollywood Reporter that pointed a finger a little bit at Muppet performers being mostly or entirely white and mostly male. And it's interesting that like I can't name more than a few from the 80s, like because this is before Kevin Clash joined the troupe. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that was something that they were trying to do, and then this guy didn't quite make the cut, or if it just so happened that they had an Asian American who did a couple of parts for Jim Henson and then kind of moved on in his career.
Yeah, and I never would have known that about him if I hadn't looked him up for this episode. So
right, me too. Same.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's definitely someone that I have never thought about for even a second.
Right. Well, but then that makes it even more interesting that he has two speaking characters in this movie.
Yeah,
because he's going to have another one later on.
Yes, and we will get to who it is. It's going to be a surprise. I think it's not. Yes. I'm sure. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably already know.
But stay tuned.
Yes, and then the next character, Chester, was played by Dave Goelz, who I don't think we need to get into Dave Goelz's credits. He plays Gonzo in all these movies. You guys, like
we know that guy.
Yeah, he's Dave Goelz. He's from TV. He's gonna be Rugby Tiger in a little bit.
Wait, Dave the Human?
Yeah, Dave Goelz. No, I thought Bill Beretta played Dave the Human.
Did Dave Goelz not play Dave the Human on the Animal Show?
I think the puppet Dave the Human was played by Bill Beretta, and then they showed like the documentary style footage of a human in his natural habitat was Dave Goelz.
Right, and
I knew the second part for sure, but wow.
But Dave was playing Stinky the Skunk. Right. He's one of the hosts.
So why would there's anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's a bit from the Animal Show, the 90s Henson Company production.
Yes, in the 90s Henson Company production, The Animal Show, the two main characters were played by Steve Whitmire and Dave Goelz, which is wild to me. Like, I feel like if it had premiered 2 years later or something, the leads would definitely be like younger puppeteers.
Those are two of the main guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the two main characters on that show were played by Steve Whitmire and Dave Goelz, and it was like a new characters.
Yeah,
that's the last time either of those guys ever did anything like that.
I guess that's true. Yeah, just this little educational. It's a fun show, but yeah, just this little educational show that doesn't have really any of the main Muppet characters.
Right, and nothing against like the younger puppeteers who are all great and who have played new characters in other shows since. But like that next generation of puppeteers would, Bear in the Big Blue House doesn't have Steve Whitmire and Dave Goelz as Bear and Tutter, is what I mean.
Right.
And again, nothing but respect for Noel McNeil and Peter Linz, who are wonderful and who I admire greatly.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to me. I don't know. So then the last one, speaking of puppeteers who I admire greatly, the last one here is Yolanda, who again does not speak in this clip, will speak in the movie, and is played by Karen Prell. This is the first time we've ever seen Karen Prell in a Muppet movie. So who's Karen Prell, Ryan?
Who is Karen Prell?
Well, okay. She just right around this time, she had worked on the Muppet Show a little bit in the final season, but she's Red Fraggle at this time. She's tearing it up in Toronto as Red Fraggle every week, right? And she had also been Dina. I mentioned that Brian Meal was Pearl on Sesame Street, Dina's babysitter. Karen Prell was Dina, who is a character on Sesame Street that I'm kind of fascinated with for no reason. She was just this like new little kid monster that was, I think, kind of supposed to be like a featured character.
Well, wasn't the idea that like, whereas Cookie Monster is obsessed with cookies and there are all these characters who have their thing, that Dina's thing was that she wanted to play all the time?
Yes, and it is obnoxious. It's dreadful. This is
so which came first?
Between Elmo and her?
No, which came first between Dina and Pearl and Muppet Take Manhattan?
Dina and Pearl was season 12, so that's 1980 is when Dina was introduced. And
so this is like a reunion of Dina and Pearl.
The Dina and Pearl.
The rats in the diner.
Yes, and actually there was a little while. There's a sketch, a Dina and Pearl sketch, where Dina doesn't want to go to bed, and for a little while, my daughter Iris was like super into that and wanted to watch it all the time.
It took a few decades, but Dina finally resonated with young kids.
With a 1-4-year-old for about a month, yeah. But it happened. All right, so we should also say about Karen Prell. She, we mentioned that Brian Meal became a young adult author. Bruce Edward Hall became an author. Karen Prell didn't become an author, but she did become an animator. And she worked at Pixar. Like, she worked on A Bug's Life and Toy Story 2. I feel like we don't talk enough about the fact that Karen Prell is so amazing that she's in Muppets Take Manhattan and worked on Toy Story 2, the greatest animated movie of the 1990s. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, more people.
I'm trying to think of any of the other Muppets Take Manhattan stars appeared in Toy Story 2, because there's so many celebrity voices in that. I guess not.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That would be interesting, though, if it was like, if they were like on the red carpet of the Toy Story 2 premiere, and Karen Prell and, I don't know, Don Rickles, if Don Rickles was in this movie, we're both like, oh, hey, remember me from Muppets Take Manhattan?
Don Rickles could have played Martin Price. That would have been fine.
He could have.
Yeah. That would have been good.
Or Bernard
except
Crawford,
for the fact that Dabney Coleman is the best.
Yeah. I mean, he could have played Bernard Crawford, too. Either one, man. You want to... Any like old man theatrical producer in this? Sure, Don Rickles. Why not? Right?
And then he could have called Kermit a hockey puck.
He could have. That would have been good. He could have played Linda Lavin's part and been like, "Hey, Kermit, you're Enrico Tortellini of Passaic, New Jersey."
Yeah, you hockey puck.
Yeah. Okay, so can I ask you a question, Joe? Is calling people a hockey puck the only thing you know about Don Rickles?
No, I know other things about him, but it's easily my favorite thing about Don Rickles. And here's a story that is not actually a story. When I was in college, we used to we had like a hockey team that it wasn't like a college team, it was like a club team, but like it was all we had. So we used to go to those hockey games. And I don't know anything about hockey, but it was pretty fun to go and sit in the stands and watch. And then over the years that I was there, I've caught 2 pucks. And for some reason, like, my friends and I decided that we needed to name them. And I don't remember what we named the second one, but the first one was definitely named Don Rickles.
Sure.
Yep. So not a real story. There's no beginning or middle of that story, but
you should have.
Did I land the ending?
You should have named the second one Brent Spiner because he played Puck on Gargoyles.
Whoa.
Oh, that'd be pretty good. Wish I had thought of that.
Yeah.
Wish I had friends who watched Gargoyles in college.
Brent Spiner, who co-starred with Muppets Take Manhattan star Gates McFadden.
Hey.
On Star Trek The Next Generation.
Amazing.
And also, Brent Spiner, who appeared as Dr. Phil Van Nutter in Muppets from Space.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's true. It's true. No, we're gonna get complaints. It's not true. Brent Spiner in the movie Independence Day, they made a joke about that in Muppets from Space, a great movie
where Phil Van Nutter quotes the line made semi-famous by Brent Spiner.
Yes. Brent Spiner in Independence Day. But although you know what's fun? Telling people that the long-haired doctor in Independence Day is Data from Star Trek because they don't believe it.
Yeah, that's funny.
You know? Even though, like, I feel like to nerds like us, we're just like, yeah, it's old Brent Spiner, you know?
It's hard for people to think of Data as being anybody else.
Right. He's a robot.
Right.
I like that you say it like it's a fun thing to do, as if you're like just walking on the street and like telling people just to see their reactions. Like, I think the fun part is that nobody actually cares.
You've met me before. You must know that that's actually fun for me. Like,
oh, for sure.
All right. What else happens in this clip? Who cares?
Well,
who cares?
The other thing, Karen Prell is actually still playing Red Fraggle because she performed Red in the recent Fraggle Rock On series on Apple TV Plus.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, and actually, similar to that, we should mention that in more recent appearances, Yolanda has been performed by Julianne Boucher, not Karen Prell.
Yes, but Karen Prell is like, she still does occasionally do puppetry.
Right. Yeah, and she still seems just like Red, man.
Yes.
Like the that Fraggle Rock On thing, which is like, it's fine, it's cute. Red feels exactly like she just stepped out of 1985.
Yeah.
You know? And it's great. She was my favorite thing about it, I think. But what else? What else happens here? The rats all get introduced. Rizzo says, "What a crazy body." And Kermit shakes his head and says, "Yeah," which I think is really funny. And then Kermit and the rats all start chattering at Pete about getting jobs. Which is like, I feel like that's the theme of this movie, is groups of Muppets just making sounds. It happens all the time, and I love it. And then Pete, of course, says, "Rats want job, frog want job. What next, penguins?" And then, yeah, of course, some penguins show up at the door and ask for jobs.
It's an obvious joke, but one of the best jokes in the movie.
I think it's also like one of those jokes that this feels very Muppet Show, that like a bunch of penguins would randomly show up just for a gag, which I'm with you. I think it's one of the best jokes in the movie. I adore this scene. I'm so glad I get to talk about it. But it's also like, it doesn't really fit in the world of Muppets Take Manhattan as much, right? Like this movie's so grounded, and then like penguins just randomly show up. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a little wackier than most of it. It does seem like this might have been, like, you might think this would be on the list of stuff that Frank Oz would decide to cut because it's a little too zany.
Yeah. I kind of feel like the main reason to keep it is the way that Dave Goelz, as the lead penguin, says, "Well, excuse us for living."
Yeah.
Which is such a funny line delivery.
But like, going back against what I just said, is like that reaction, as funny as it is and as perfect as the delivery is, it's not really a joke. He's just like, "Fine, well, screw you, dude," and then he walks out the door.
It's a penguin,
which makes it more realistic. Like, that's more like something that would happen in New York. Like, that's his, like, "I'm walking here."
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, and then all the penguins just leave in a huff, going wah, 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 wah.
Right. The penguins all chatter, like, just like everyone in this movie. But speaking of "I'm walking here," we talked about all the other rat pun names. Rizzo is named after Ratso Rizzo, Dustin Hoffman's character in Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah, who says the titular "I'm walking here"?
Yeah, as the title.
From the titular "I'm walking."
Yeah, from the quote, "I'm walking here." That's the title of the quote.
That's the title of the quote.
Yes. I also want to say about the penguins, did you guys notice that? So Jenny, as we've established, does like costume design or whatever, or she's studying costume design. Did you notice that she has penguins on her collar?
No.
Of her diner outfit? She's got 2 little penguins on there.
Oh no!
So she would have been ecstatic if there were penguins working there. She's obviously a big fan.
Yeah, she missed out.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now, but I have never noticed that.
Yeah, it's there. Unless there's another bird that looks just like an outline of a penguin.
Yeah, those are little penguins. That's funny.
So in some way, the penguins are working there at the diner.
They found a way to sneak in.
Just on the collar. Yeah. Excuse them for living.
Mm-hmm. And then speaking of Jenny, she says, "Hey, Pop, everybody's waiting for their food." And the fact that like Jenny reminds him that they have customers who want to eat convinces Pete to begrudgingly give 5 new employees jobs that he is presumably paying them.
Hey, the people need their hominy grits.
Yeah, it never comes up, like what kind of salary or benefits Kermit and the rats receive. But Pete's just like, "Oh, you want jobs? You got them. Jobs are a thing I'm giving you in the middle of a conversation. Now you're working."
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, if they're that desperate for jobs, then they'll probably take anything he'll pay them. They're probably getting paid in soup with spoon, you know?
Yeah, that's true. So then Pete picks up Rizzo and gives him a great speech. One of my I feel like this is the underrated Pete moment, which is, I'll tell you what is no work, is dancing, is cheese, is big shoes. All right, rats, you go to work.
Yeah, I gotta say, I understand that even less than his famous People's is People's speech.
Right. Oh yeah, it's impenetrable.
I did not understand what he was trying to say as a kid. Like as a kid, I was like, okay, so they're like the rats aren't allowed to dance. They're not allowed to be eating cheese. I got that. But then is big shoes. It's like, so the rats are going to be wearing big shoes? Like I totally didn't understand that until I was, I don't know, probably in like college, high school or college, where it's like, oh, he's going to step on them. Like that's like big shoes. Like I'm going to go stomping around in the kitchen.
That makes sense. I think that there was a point where I thought he was like talking about Chuck E. Cheese or something, dancing big shoes or whatever. I don't think Chuck E. Cheese even existed with that name as like a nationwide thing yet.
It might have been like pretty new at this time. Not enough that not enough that they could assume that everyone would get the reference if it was a reference.
Yeah. It looks like Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater was founded in 1977.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I wonder if there was a Chuck E. Cheese in New York City. Probably not. I don't know if Pete would really be aware of that.
Yeah, I wonder if there ever was, or if there was
isn't that Charles Entertainment Cheese's hometown?
That's literally, I was about to explain.
Is he from Brooklyn or something?
Probably.
We need to know more about Chuck E. Cheese here.
Yeah. So Joe, you wanted to talk about Chuck E. Cheese's birth certificate? I'm sorry, I stepped in.
I was just saying, like that's my go-to whenever someone mentions Chuck E. Cheese. I have to explain his full name is Charles Entertainment Cheese.
Yes.
How is that any worse than or any better than saying, "Hey, did you know Brent Spiner is in Independence Day?" Like, you're no better than
he's got you there.
Look, I didn't say that it was bad to talk about Brent Spiner and Independence Day. I'm just saying
you're just like, hey, loser! Nobody cares if Brent Spiner is in Independence Day.
It's like I have like I think all three of us do this, where there's certain things when like someone says something about Ricky Ricardo, and I have to be like, in his native Cuba, his name would have been Ricardo. It's just like it's right there on the tip of my tongue. I can't not say it.
Right.
It's just there's a song on the radio. I have to hum along. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, it's like how Billy D. Williams' real name is William December Williams Jr. Yeah,
William December Williams. That's
Jr. That was his dad's name. Like
that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Scooby Doo's real name is Scoobert Doobert.
Wait, is it Scoobert Doobert?
I don't know. It might be Scoobert Doo, but Scoobert still.
Yeah.
Come on.
Great.
I just like saying Scoobert Doobert.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. Well,
this is great stuff.
Oh man, I'm so glad we're friends, you guys. All right.
Is anyone still listening to the podcast?
No.
Yes, all the Chuck E. Cheese fans and Scooby Doo fans are loving this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
Everyone who attended Charles Entertainment Cheese's naming ceremony. All right. So, what else? Oh, so then the Rizzo and those guys all get jobs.
Wait, before you get to that, so like the scene where Pete is holding Rizzo, which by the way is like some really interesting puppetry because like Rizzo's like moving around and stuff, and I can't tell where the rods are.
Well, I think isn't it a remote controlled Rizzo at that point?
It might be. Yeah, it seems likely. Have you guys talked about what's on Rizzo's shirt? Because I actually don't know, but I was trying to zoom in on it. Because like that's a really good close up of that, and like it says something, and I think in my memory it said Pete's, but that definitely doesn't say Pete's. I don't know if you guys.
No, it is a logo. It looks.
I think it does say Pete's like on some. Like he's wearing a shirt that says Pete's when we first see those when the Muppets first are all sitting in the diner. He's definitely wearing a shirt that says Pete's then. This one I didn't notice.
This is a yellow T-shirt with like an orangish reddish logo on the front. Oh. It kind of looks like
No, that's just a white shirt with red. Like in those scenes, he's wearing a T-shirt that says Pete's.
Yeah, he's talking about the one in this scene. It's that yellow shirt.
I'm talking about the one in this scene. Yeah, the yellow one. Yeah, I don't know. It almost looks like a band logo.
I'm kind of curious, especially like they didn't have to make more than one shirt for Rizzo for this movie. He could have worn the same thing straight through. Fozzie Bear doesn't change his necktie depending on the time of day.
It reminds me a little bit of the logo for Eggo waffles, but I don't think he's wearing an Eggo's t-shirt.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found a picture of Rizzo online wearing a yellow shirt that says Cheesehead on it, but I don't know if that's the same shirt necessarily.
What a cheesehead.
He is a cheesehead, that guy.
That guy loves to eat anything. He's just eating. He's shoving it down. Did you guys see Muppets Take Manhattan? Did you guys see Muppet Treasure Island?
Oh, man, Rizzo likes food.
I've seen it.
Rizzo likes food.
Rizzo eats 7 pig islanders in that movie off screen. It's very strange. It's all alive. That's what he does.
Yikes.
I mean, he said Yolanda has a crazy body. I think Rizzo's got a crazy body that he can eat all that stuff in that tiny little rat.
What a crazy metabolism.
Yeah. So, and then he actually, as they're leaving, he asks Yolanda, "So you got a boyfriend or what?" And she doesn't respond. Like that's what bothers me. It's like, again, I think this is the 2015 show coloring my perception of her.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Yolanda that we come to know later would have like definitely snapped back at him for like saying what a crazy body, and would definitely like have some sort of answer to "you got a boyfriend."
Yolanda gets a lot of agency once Julia Fisher takes over the character.
Yeah, and this one she doesn't. She's like you say, she's just a
she's a prop.
Yeah, she's a prop. She really is.
Yeah. Did you notice that? And I never would have noticed this if I hadn't, if it wasn't like looking at this 2 minutes at a time with you guys. When he says, "So like you got a boyfriend or what?" The "so like" is doubled. There's 2 Rizzo voices on top of each other, but "you got a boyfriend or what" is not. It's a weird. I mean, maybe it was just in the clip that you sent me. I don't think it was because nothing else kind of had that weird audio effect. But yeah, there's like 2 Rizzo voices for 2 words.
No, that's weird. I wonder if that was just like some kind of recording glitch or mixing glitch.
Yeah. I mean, also, who cares? But I noticed it. We're talking about this 2 minutes at a time, so we might as well mention it.
We're talking about it a lot.
Yeah, we have to document everything. Yeah, we're talking about it a lot. We're not talking about it a little bit. So then Kermit starts to beg for a job, and Jenny says, "We could always use help in the kitchen." And then Pete agrees. Again, having just hired 4 new employees, in addition to the 2 that he already... And is Jenny even get paid? Or is it like, like on Bob's Burgers, how the kids work there and don't get paid? Is it like that kind of situation?
I don't know. She's got to pay for fashion school somehow.
Yeah, I assume that Pete is paying for school, or at least like maybe she got a scholarship and he's like housing her, and in exchange she works at the restaurant.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, but I never thought about that. I guess it's reasonable to think that she probably still lives with him.
Yeah, but anyways, he just tripled his workforce. And now he's going to add 1 more because his daughter's like, "Hey, you should hire this other guy too." So he does.
Because she's like, "Come on." He's like, "Oh, good point."
Yep, that's what happens.
But Kermit doesn't get a speech like Rizzo did. He doesn't get a is banjo playing? Is gonna be, I don't know.
Is webbed feet.
But he does get to very enthusiastically say, "Thanks, Pete. That's terrific. Oh boy, haha."
Yes. And then he does this little dance where he's hopping back and forth. And I always thought adorable. It's adorable, but I always thought that it went on for like 1 second too long, which made me think that Jim Henson was like making Kermit bounce back and forth for like a good minute and a half before Frank Oz called cut. And Kermit was just so excited. He just doesn't want to wash the dishes. He's just going to keep like, "Oh boy, ha ha ha, hey, oh, hey, oh, ha ha ha."
Yeah, that's what he does.
He's got those happy feet.
That's what he does for the rest of this movie. That's all that happens for the rest of the movie is Kermit does a hopping dance. So then, anyways, Jenny asks Kermit, "Where are all your friends?" And Kermit says they all had to leave. And she says, "Even your pig friend," which I think is such a great way to Jenny knows Kermit and Piggy had a thing, but I really like that that's how she asked it. And
yeah, it's a delicate way of bringing up Piggy.
Yeah, and then Kermit for the 40,000th time in a row says that he's staying in New York to sell the show. He literally yelled it from the top of the Empire State Building. But here we got to hear him say it again out loud, like we don't
Jenny
already
didn't
know.
hear him.
Yeah, well, Jenny was in New York City. She should have heard him.
Yeah, everyone.
Like he said it to the whole city.
Yeah, Miss Piggy heard him on the ground.
Yep.
But anyways, so he says it, and then Jenny says, "I'm going to do something special too. I mean, in fashion." And this is when a light bulb goes off in Kermit's head, because he says, "Maybe your fashion design can help me now," which rules. And then he goes on to say, "I did some reading last night about Broadway producers and investors and agents and everything." So this is 1984. Kermit did not just like click around on the internet and learn what Broadway producers like. He went to the New York Public Library.
He went to the library.
A reference book about how Broadway shows are produced, which is my favorite thing.
I think it's also possible he read like a couple of Variety magazines or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Sure.
I don't know. That's the first thing I thought, but I could also see Kermit. Like we'll talk about this next week, but like the way he goes about, like actually approaching some of these people tells me that he doesn't know who they are. So like he probably did go to the library and read a book, like a reference book. It's like reading the encyclopedia entry on Broadway agents, and it's like, I got it. I'm an expert now.
Right, yeah.
And then while he was at the library, he ran into LeVar Burton.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, is that when that happened?
Exactly. No, he's looking for books on pigs that day.
He was, but it could have been now too because he misses Piggy. I think it lines up. You can look in more than one section of the library. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I saw Kermit's cameo on Reading Rainbow back in the day, that was so exciting when that episode showed up on PBS.
And like to bring it around, like I'm sure Anthony felt the same way. Like when they did a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, it was like all worlds were colliding.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and actually, that episode of Reading Rainbow was like my introduction to Star Trek. It
really?
Was like I didn't. Yeah. I'm sure I've told both of you in real life. My dad doesn't like Star Trek, so I like wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid just because it's for nerds, And my dad and I have a great relationship. That makes him sound like he's like way more anti-nerd than he really is, or whatever. But anyways, we didn't watch Star Trek, but that episode of Reading Rainbow made it seem like the coolest show ever. The part where they show the water swirling in a like cylindrical tube to make the transporter effects.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. Cool. It still does. Like, when I watch that episode.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
But speaking of which, LeVar hosted Reading Rainbow also on Next Gen with Brent Spiner and Gates McFadden.
That's why I brought it up.
Oh, okay.
Full circle, man.
Gates McFadden is in this movie.
This movie, Muppet Take Manhattan, is basically a Star Trek movie, is what we're saying. It's the prequel.
It's a prequel
to The Next Generation. Oh my god! To all the Star Treks, it's a prequel.
Muppet Take Manhattan has more in common with Star Trek: The Next Generation than Star Trek Nemesis does. That's true. Absolutely true. All right. So then Kermit says to Jenny, "Now I know what." He says, "Now I know what I have to do to sell our show. I could use your help because I have a 3-part plot." And that's when he stops talking. But like we do the joke a lot where we're like, we don't know what he's going to say. But here's the thing. We never find out what the third part of Kermit's 3-part plan is in this movie.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah. As we'll see, the first part is Bafosaki. Lenny. And then the second part is the Whispering Campaign. And then the third part never happens. There's no third part because Kermit goes to meet Ronnie Crawford in between or whatever.
Wow, that's just like in The Last Jedi when Luke Skywalker tells Rey that he has 3 lessons for her and he only teaches her 2 of those lessons because the third one got cut from the movie. Yeah,
but also those are 2 of the greatest movies ever made, so it's fine.
Yes, well, and so maybe, obviously something got cut somewhere along the line. They must have intended for Kermit to have a third part to his plan.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is more like they're subconsciously setting us up for like a rule of 3 thing. Like, of course there's 3. There's always 3. And then when they were writing the movie, they're like, we don't need to do a third thing. It's a waste of time. Like, we got the jokes out. Let's move on with the story.
Right. Yeah, because they do feel pretty similar. The 2 that we see, obviously, it's like Kermit wears a silly costume and goes to a place and pretends to be a big shot. you know.
I mean, the other thing is like the third part could be like, you know, in the jokes of like, you know, step 1, whatever, step 2, question mark, step 3, profit. Where it's like, yeah, part 3 is we put on the show. And then when parts 1 and 2 fail, it's like, well, of course there's no part 3. Part 3 was success.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, that could be.
Although I do love the idea that part 1 is like, put on an afro and pretend to have a meeting with an agent. Part 2, put on a fake mustache and go to a restaurant. Like, part 3, success.
It does make sense though. Like, okay, so thinking about how Broadway shows are made, like step 1 is you get an agent involved. Step 2 is you got to get funding. So he went to a fancy restaurant and got people excited about it, so that maybe they could get people to invest in the show. And then part 3 is production. And so it didn't work that way, but that kind of makes sense in a, we're going to trick a whole bunch of people into funding and producing this show they've never heard of, but
All right.
That's true. But yeah, so we'll see how.
So he just kind of stumbles into part 3 happening.
Yeah, that's true. But then he gets, we'll find out. We don't know yet. We'll
find out.
We've never seen this. We saw, like, the problem is we all saw Independence Day so many times that we didn't have time to watch Muppets Take Manhattan.
All of my memories of Muppets Take Manhattan have been pushed out because I've watched Independence Day too many times.
There you go. So that's why you're trying it again.
That's right.
Why you're trying.
This is the one where Gonzo says "Welcome to Earth," right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, all right. So that brings us to the end of the clips. Anything else before we go, Joe? I'll start with you.
Yeah. So stop me if you guys talked about this already, but I noticed that all over Pete's restaurant, on the cash register, around the cash register area, back in the kitchen, they've got postcards and stuff all over the place, and most of them are like photos. I don't know where they're from. It doesn't matter. But one of them, there's a big one on the cash register in this scene, and it's not a photo. It's an art piece. And so I was curious, what is this? And I tried zooming in on it. It's really blurry, whatever. But hey, it's 2020, and we have the internet, or it's 2021, depending on when this episode's going up. We have the internet, and there's people on Reddit who, like, you can ask them a question and they'll just answer it for free. So the other day I posted an image on Reddit and asked if anyone can identify what the art piece is, and someone responded. I got an answer. Isn't that amazing? So the art piece that's on the cash register is called A Reading from Homer, and it was painted in 1885 by Sir Lawrence Alma Tadema. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And it is currently at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. So my guess is someone either like a Pete's regular went to Philadelphia and was like, I'm going to send this postcard to my buddy Pete or to my friend Jenny. Or Pete and Jenny like to travel a bit, and one of them went to Philadelphia and they went to the museum and liked this painting so much they brought back a postcard and decided to display it on the cash register.
I totally believe that.
Yeah, I like that idea.
So a little backstory.
Yeah, Philadelphia is just a short train ride away from Manhattan. So
that's true. And they have art there, apparently.
They do.
That's where they keep it.
And a bell, I think, with a crack in it.
And the cream cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this guy named Rocky Balboa, you should check it out.
Yeah, that guy loves cream cheese.
He does. He also loves raw eggs. You guys ever see that one? You should check it out. Underrated.
It's a good movie.
That's the only one I've seen.
And he goes up the stairs and he's like, "Hey, I'm walking here." Remember that?
Hey, Adrian, I'm walking.
Classic Rocky. Wait, Ryan. Okay, you've never seen any of the Rocky sequels?
I've seen Rocky, the first one. I've never seen Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever.
They stop after 8, but
okay.
I am certain you would love Rocky 4. A movie.
Is that the one with the robot?
Yeah,
because I do.
That's the one with the robot, but it's also like 60% montages. It's 85 minutes. There's nothing not to love. It's great.
Rocky 4 is the best. Rocky 4 is a movie about a boxer who punches so hard he ends the Cold War.
It's true.
Wow. That's the plot of the movie.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
No, I'm going to watch all of them. Probably someday I'm going to watch every Rocky movie in 2 weeks or something like that.
I thought about doing that.
Like, I would love to sit down and watch every Rocky movie with you. That's like my dream.
I thought about doing that, like, now that we're all like kind of still, quarantined with this COVID stuff. That seemed like a really good project because I've only seen 4 of the 9 Rocky movies.
Only 8. There's only 8.
Sorry, I meant to say Ryan said 9. It confused me. 4 of the 8 Rocky movies. And like, I don't know, like I'd like to try them all, like see how that goes. I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe I'll become a boxing fan.
I haven't seen Creed 2 yet, so we'd all
either.
You know.
Should we do this? Right? Should we all watch the Rock movies together?
Let's do it. Yes, that would rule. I would love that.
Should that be the next thing we do over on the other podcast feed?
Yes, we can start.
Well,
Muppet Fan Podcast presents the Rocky movies.
Kermit the Frog is in Rocky 3. You know that, right, Ryan?
That's right.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll save it for the podcast, for our Rocky podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna start with the Stallone episode of the Muppet Show, and then do all 8 Rocky movies.
Okay.
All right. That'll be the in. All right. So, if there's nothing, and did you have anything else, Ryan?
Oh yeah, my only other thing is Kermit has another one of these little nice puppetry things that I always like to look for, where he's talking to Jenny, and as he starts to say that he has a 3-part plan, he leans forward and puts his little green hands on the counter, which I just love those little puppet moments that make the characters feel more real.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and that's a great angle for Kermit as well. That like it's slightly up, and like it's just like you could take a photo of any frame from that scene where his little hands are on the counter, and it's just like it's a great picture of Kermit.
Yeah,
sure. It looks good.
All right. So that does, I think, then bring us down to the end. Listeners, you can always find toughpigs.com on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. You can email us at movingrightalong@toughpigs.com. Please do that. Our theme music is by Stacey Rosen. Our logo was designed by Morgan Davey, so thank you to both of them. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at @MeRyanRowe. And Joe, where can our listeners find you if for some reason they have not yet found you and they are listening to this podcast?
Please find me. I'm lost. I am on Twitter at Joe Hennis. That's my name. And I'm on Instagram at ToughPigsJoe. I rarely post either one because I'm always posting on Tough Pigs social media stuff. So follow Tough Pigs if you care at all about things that I say.
Well, I sure do. And listeners, also remember to give us a review, the most positive review that you've ever given anything. Give us that on your podcast.
20 stars.
20 stars. Yes. It's going to be a cornucopia of stars for moving right along. And join us again next week, where we will be back with another episode of whatever this is, moving right along. Goodbye.
Bye.
Adrian.
Well, excuse us for living.